Welcome to another great story with your host, Nick Sandino. Brought to you by The Village Christian Church. Do you know any great stories? We sure do. And we can never find enough time on a Sunday morning to tell them all. Here at Another Great Story, we tell the truth about where life change, life growth, and life purpose meets our everyday life, with the hope that you might experience God in your story.
Welcome back to Another Great Story. I'm your host, Nick Sandino. Joining me today is a good friend, an elder in our church, also the physical therapist to my family. So Sean Carter, one of my good friends. So sit back and relax and enjoy another great story. Sean, fun to have you.
Oh, love being here. Thanks for inviting me.
You're maybe the most avid listener of our podcast.
Am I?
Yeah. I mean, since day one, you've been one of the most active supporters. You probably don't know this.
I don't.
I've got something to tell you about what we do for you with the podcast. Do you know this?
I do not.
What do you listen to the podcast
surprising. Pocket Casts.
Pocket Cast.
Yeah.
And to my understanding, you might be the only one in our church who listens to it there.
Fantastic.
And I've got $10 a year invested so that I can load that there just for you. I get a yearly charge of like $12.
Really?
$1 a month.
Well, yeah. I mean, Pocket Cast is pretty amazing. You don't use it. You're just going to put it out there. I actually started using it many years ago when I started listening to podcasts for the sole purpose that you could change the speed by points. So I could listen to something instead of like 1.25 or 1.5, I can listen to 1.6 speed, which was wonderful.
And that was more your preference.
Yes. But now I brought it back because it's not about consuming. It's like, okay.
Oh, see, you're always a step ahead of me on mature thinking, where I'm like, I wonder if I get good enough at 1.5, if I can go to 1.75. Can my processing power increase? Which is wrong.
Yeah. It's really hard for some of the podcasts that I listen to. I'm like, this guy has a really thick accent, and I tried like 1.6.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
No way. I have to go like one's pushing it.
Yeah.
Just to understand this person.
Right.
So. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how fast we talk. I don't know what speed people listen to us in.
Yeah, I guess that's one of those things. It could be like, man, Sean's really talking fast. And then,
right.
Like, no, I got to slow it down.
Yeah.
Make it easy.
Yeah, it is by the person sharing, I guess. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So as you had mentioned, I'm a physical therapist. So I'm married, 18 years, a wonderful wife, Diana. We met in college at Bradley. 2 wonderful kids, 13 and 8, and they're pretty active in church and just involved in different activities. Just got done with cross country with my son, and my daughter finished up cheer. So this is the time where we get to kind of go, okay, we can take a breath.
Yeah.
And then the holiday season, of course, starts real soon. And that's where it's like, okay, we have a different kind of busyness, but I love being busy with activities, but then there's a time where it's like, okay, how can I like reform like the evening so we can have dinner together instead of just like throw food in your face?
Right. Yeah. I would like to eat with all of us at some point.
Yeah.
And
it's just those days are going to be fleeting. It's like,
it is
with Lincoln being 13 and it's just going to be harder and harder. But I don't know, like growing up for me, we didn't really do family dinner. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. So that was
I don't think we called it. It wasn't like formal. We want to spend time together, family dinner. It was like, this is when you're going to eat. If you're going to eat, So get in the house. Mom's got dinner ready, and we'd come in from work or sports or whatever it was. But no, it's like an important part to us that we have a table to sit at, but we end up like they sit at the island, and Lauren and I end up standing and eating while we, like clean and. Connect and whatever.
Well, like, we have a dining room table. I think we use, 6 times a year.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, that's up there. We're at like 2.
It's sometimes because the kitchen table, we have an eating kitchen area. That might be full of stuff. So then it's like
that makes me feel so much better.
To the dining room table, and you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't want you to clear all your homework off so that we can eat. So let's just go eat somewhere else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta be practical.
No. Do you remember how we met? Or I guess I don't know when it was, but do you remember like this?
Yeah.
I think the listener might think this is fun.
Yeah, I mean, so back in 2012, I opened a clinic over in Morris, and we were doing like free injury screens and things to try to get people involved in the community, just like, what is this? Just another physical therapy clinic. Like, what does it look like? Ended up partnering with like a new exercise place. I forget what it was called, like P3 or something like that. And I think you were going there at some point. Maybe.
Oh, maybe so. Was that with Christy?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. So
I didn't know that was the connection.
Yeah. And I think, so we do free injury screens or complimentary injury screens. And then, I think you had called or just walked in, and I
think I heard it on the radio, but I might have heard it from Christy.
Yeah. I think it was from P3 because you were doing a little bit of training. They just opened, and then you came in and we were like, oh, my shoulder, I think, or something like that, right? And I was like, okay, well, what's going on? And then we went through it, and the question was, I have a football game. It was right after Thanksgiving.
Yep, I have an alumni football game. We play one game a year. It was like a 3-year window where we did this, and the day we got pads as grown men, so I'm probably, I don't even know. Was I still in my 20s? Anyway, whatever it was, 2012, 2013, I was not 30 yet.
Right.
Oh, that's depressing. I felt like I was way closer to those games than I am. Yeah. I'm a decade removed from my last. Well, anyway, we get pads, and this guy who, you're playing with guys out of your age that would be like the age I am now, hit me in the parking lot the first time we're trying pads on, like a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still use his name as like a cringe word. Like, it's like, oh, Dan. Like, Dan hit me in the parking lot horsing around, and I felt my shoulder go. I'd had like some broken toes and bruised ribs, but never like a sit-out injury.
Yeah.
And I felt my shoulder do something, and Christy was like, free screening, you should go get it checked out. Never had met you before. Go get that, and you're like, you shouldn't play.
Yeah.
Like you could really damage your shoulder if it's already.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it was recent injury. You haven't had an injury, okay. But like, if you're playing the line, or if you're, I don't know what position, linebacker.
You said as long as you're in a spot where you can maybe control, and I was like, it'll be nose guard or offensive guard, and you're like, oh, I definitely wouldn't play then.
Yeah.
And I left there with that wisdom intact of this is probably the right thing to do. I'm a dad. I could almost date this because Bennett's 15 and I know she was like 3 and we were carrying Jed around at 1, so you had a 1-year-old at home in Lincoln,
Yep.
But I didn't ask you anything. I wasn't trying to get to know anybody. I was like, clear me to feel confident to go do this. And then I was like, that's fine. It's a free screening. I'm never going to see this guy again. And you came to our church like
a couple years later. Yeah.
I don't even think it was that. Because it was recent enough, like after you came, so this would like help date it. Maybe it was like the second game I had done this in, and you came to our church because you remembered, and you're like, did you play in that game? Was one of the first things you ever asked me. And
sounds mean.
And I was like, he's going to go to another church because he thinks his pastor's a liar.
No.
And I was like, yeah, I did. It didn't feel good, but I got one more game in, and and that ended up being it. Like they had one more game after that, and I wasn't able to make it. And,
I think that's an interesting thing. So as a physical therapist, and my family will always be like, oh, like I got some neck stuff going on. And I'm like, okay, well, like do a quick, like, okay, I think you should do whatever. Give them a couple of things. And then a couple months go by, see them again. My neck's still bothering me. Well, did you do the things that I asked you? No. Well, it's not any better. I don't know what you want me to do. Like my advice still is the same. And I think in the end, when I came out of school, I was like, I am the gift to people and we're going to heal you.
Yeah.
And in reality, it's like the only way this works is through a partnership. Right. So I'm going to like try to work with you and do this dance of, okay, this is how it started. This was a mechanism. And this is how like you currently present. What's the real thing going on? And then give you some things to do to be an active participant. And the people that really do that well, they tend to get better.
Yeah.
And the people that are like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
They will get better too until they don't. Right. So it's like the body is amazing. And sometimes it just heals by itself. And other times, like it's been compensating for so long that like it can't do it anymore. And I mean, frankly, because the body's amazing, that's what got me interested in becoming a therapist. I mean, we can go all the way back if you want. Like, that was 7th grade. I had physical therapy. Yeah. And I had a annoying knee injury that didn't get better, but I was, a kid of the late 80s, early 90s that was like, you wake up, you end up eating breakfast, which is usually just cereal.
Right.
And then you go play. And then you might be able to like smash a sandwich in your mouth, and then you go play again. And when I was in like 6th grade, I don't remember how, but like probably, those full tackle football games that you'd play in your front yard, you get hit in the knee and you're like, whatever, it'll get better.
Right.
It never did for like a year.
Really?
Yeah. So then, again, like medical care, you're just kind of like rub dirt on it, whatever. And it was finally annoying enough where I was like, all right, Mom, I think I need to go to the doctor. This thing is painful. It turns out like a small like sprain in a ligament in my knee. And it should have been better in about a month. But it was going on over a year because I wouldn't like take any time. So they're like, you should go to therapy. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but okay. And, we went there for 4 weeks. Felt like, hey, this is pretty cool. I got to do some exercises. Mm-hmm. I was always interested in how like people moved in general, like in those like late 80s movies of like martial arts. And, the action guys like Schwarzenegger and Van Damme, like those were the movies that I was watching. Like it was amazing how good they can move. And then it was like, well, that's awesome. And like I enjoyed the medical side, so we put those together. Like physical therapy's it. So that was 7th grade.
That early.
Yeah.
So we can go whatever direction you want to with this, because I'm curious what, for as long as we've hung out here and connected on church stuff, about what your story is with meeting the Lord, with coming to faith, but also like you have like such an interesting, I'm wired a little bit like this too, that like this is per God's creation. Mm-hmm. And how the body responds is something that has interested me more in my 30s into 40 than ever before in life. Like there are some disciplines, and it's like it parallels spiritual growth in my head. So, I mean, where did it start for you spiritually? What was your, journey with getting introduced to God, with coming to faith in Christ? And because you're an elder here, I don't.
Yeah, I think, going back, I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. So, growing up in the 80s and like the really outskirts of the suburbs of Chicago, it was one of those where
was that, by the way?
Mokina.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it was like in the Lincoln Way area and all that, but it was literally lots of playing outside. But we didn't ever really go to church as a family. And actually we were, there's always stories of, oh no, it's the Carter kids. Like the 3 boys would go ride their bikes and, parents would grab their children and run inside kind of thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was quite interesting. And like, we're talking like 4 years old to whatever. And I remember, a friend that I met in kindergarten, he was in our block, and he tells me years later, he came home like, oh, I met a new friend of mine. His name's Sean. Oh, great. What's his last name? Carter. Oh my gosh, not one of the Carter boys.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't even picture this about you.
Yeah, right. So, and it was one of those like, okay, that's really interesting. And me and Dan became super close. Like his dad was the coach of the baseball team. And in fact, they were instrumental in like bringing me to church for like elementary years and through junior high. And the mom, Sue, she basically like adopted me as one of her sons.
Like an extra kid.
Yeah. Where it was like, you guys can, come. Oh yeah, Sean can come. Yeah, you can spend the night. No problem. Wrote me in her Bible that she could pray for my spouse in the future.
Oh, goodness.
Right. And even with that, there was like a 15-passenger van. And I think it was from the church, but it might have been owned by somebody in the neighborhood. And on Wednesdays, he would go around and just pick kids up like that was okay back then.
Yeah, back in the 90s.
Yeah, in the early 90s. It was just like, you're taking our kids? Yes, go ahead and do that. And my brothers and I and friends.
You think about that now, like no contact with your kid.
Right, for
when
hours.
you coming back, I don't know.
Yeah.
We're just going with them and be back tonight. And your parents were like, okay, like I want to take a pill that makes me feel like a 90s parent.
Yeah. I won't hear from them. I have no idea how to track them.
Right.
They came back. Look at that. We have 5 at the end of the day. That's
yeah.
good. And I think, we ended up going, and I feel like, so I want to say I was 7. And so my brother then closest to me in age was probably 9 and then 10. And there was friends of ours. And I remember sitting there in the sanctuary of a church, and they're, they do the message and the gospel, and it's like, yeah, this makes sense. And at 7, I was like, yep, all right, I'm a Christian. And it was very, shallow of like understanding of what's going on. But that was like really
but as much as you could understand as a 7th grader or 7-year-old, not 7th grader.
Yeah. 7-year-old. And that was like really that always came back of like, oh, this is about Jesus. This is about, God interacting with us. And, all through, junior high, there's always those like, who are you moments of, are you going to be this kind of person or are you going to be this kind of person? Going through sports and being okay and doing travel ball and having, friends, parents always, be around. And some were involved in the Catholic Church. Some of them were in other churches, but always had interesting experiences with, just being invited to different activities at church, whether it was like, let's go on a mission trip. And I went on 2 mission trips to Florida, which were pretty cool. We did like soup kitchens and different things through junior high. And as many people do, it's like when you go from junior high to high school, it's like, again, that big transition. And like in Mokina, you go to Lincoln Way. And
that's big.
It's huge, right? So my graduating class was 1,100.
Right.
And
was there multiple Lincoln Ways at the time or just one?
There was just one. It was freshman, sophomore, then junior, senior.
And you would have graduated what year? Or how close are we in age?
Yeah, I graduated in 2001.
Okay. You're just a couple years older than me.
Yeah. Yeah, so they had, like, your freshman, sophomore went to East. Junior, senior year went to Central.
Yeah.
Which was great for freshmen who didn't have to deal with seniors, and seniors didn't have to deal with freshmen. But it was one of those moments where you're like, all right, friends are going to be splitting off, and you're not going to, like, there's people that, like, I later knew in my 20s that I didn't know they went to Lincoln Way and graduated with me. I'm like, wait, what? You were in my, okay. And it's just big. And you have groups of all kinds of people. And when you're coming in freshman year, you have people that join the football team, and you're like, oh, I wasn't on the football team. I guess I'm not going to be friends with them because that's like their whole life. And it was an interesting transition. So a lot of the people that I hung out with, kind of like we went our separate ways. So it was like trying to find my people again. And luckily, a buddy of mine happened to be, like, we met in 4th grade, kind of like we're kind of friends. And then we were just in a lot of classes together. And he invited me to his youth group. And it was like, all right, I'm like, what is it? It's on Wednesdays. All right, we'll do that. Like, I got nothing else on Wednesdays.
What was that church?
Grace Fellowship Church in Mokina. And that was an interesting experience because it was the church that I actually got saved in when I was 7. I came back to that one, but it was a different name. So,
wow.
Yeah. So it was, I think it was a Baptist church or something. I don't remember. But they had changed hands, and just by happenstance, my friend's like, oh, good. I'm like,
I've been there.
There.
Right.
Yeah. So I ended up starting going there, and that's where, like, the friend group became pretty solid, where we were then like, all right, we'll get together on the weekends. We're going to do church together.
Yep.
We're going to serve. We're going to do stuff. And really the gift was not just going on Wednesdays, but there were upperclassmen, the juniors and seniors were connected to, like, my group of, like, 5 friends. Yeah. And they would be like, hey, we're going to pick you up.
Yes.
I'd be like, okay. And then they would just come to my house, and we would go do whatever, go to the Mokina Park District and play basketball. But without that, it was like you just be like sitting around.
Right.
Right.
No, that's exactly, we did this thing in Bible college where I was not Nazarene, so it was a Christian ed major and with a youth ministry emphasis, which meant I wouldn't be ordained Nazarene, which was a 4 to 6 year process, if I remember right, which our ordination process was like an hour.
Slight difference.
It was, and so like I just had the same credit load and stuff, but I had to take a children's ministry requirement, which I was like, man, I'm not called to children's ministry. It's not, I promise, but Leon Blanchette at Olivet, incredible guy, brilliant guy, said, raise your hand if you got saved, like before the age of 10. And I was like, that's my story, but that can't be common. In the room of youth ministry majors, it's like 90%.
Okay.
And then he's like, and how many of you, your faith really, like when did your faith really develop where you felt like you tangibly understood and you were more cognizant of what you believed, like late junior high school. He's like, okay. He's like, this is why children's ministry is vital. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, it's like, I don't care what you did before you're 13. Like,
yeah.
Now you're starting to think. Now you're starting to, like, I wanted to catch kids in that interest and independence, not as a negative. Like, you're challenging your parents, and I don't want to make that a negative. I want you to look at that as like, let's challenge everything and see where the truth shakes out.
Absolutely.
And you're going to find a God still standing there when all the smoke clears, and maybe mom and dad weren't wrong about everything. Or maybe mom and dad have been wrong, but you're going to have a different lens to view why and respect. And it was upperclassmen. And now that you've got Lincoln at 13, I've got Jed at 13 and they're buddies, and I've got Bennett at 15, and they're going, hey, can I go ride home with, and I'm going, with who? How old? Like, yeah, I love them, but you want to get in whose car? And my parents were a yes to every church friend's invitation, where it was a complete inconvenience. They don't want to do that Sunday afternoon. And it has been something I've adopted, that it was like, yeah, go get in their car. Like, cause I want you with them.
Absolutely.
Like wherever, and I want you with all your other friends too, but I want this fostered. I want you to know I'm completely backing all that, because the more people I sit with, the more their story is like, oh, somebody a little ahead of me drug me along.
Yep.
And made me feel like I could get where they were going, and physically or spiritually or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I think I had that conversation just about a month ago with Lincoln, where he was talking with Carlos and Carter, here. And I'm like, it's so nice that you not only get to talk with them, but like Carlos is really interested in like developing, this group where they can get together, spend extra time.
Yeah.
Because like, as much as, I'm his dad, that only holds so much water during this time. And it's the peers and the people that are just outside of peers that he's going to really listen to. And it's going to make a huge difference. And I know that's what I had in my story, was really people reaching back going like, yeah, like this is what happens. You follow this, and this is nice. And that was completely different than like the rest of my family, which is, completely different story. But I had some great opportunities to develop good relationships and really stay and focus, and like also challenge, like you said, like to challenge the things that either my parents or other people or whoever was saying, and be comfortable in knowing that that's okay. Like to challenge things and walk away and be like, yeah, my God can handle that.
Right.
That's no big deal.
Oh man. And I don't think it's exclusively like you come to faith as like this is the only path, like have like an upperclassman, because I see it in adults too. Like, but we always use the language, you need like a Barnabas and you need a Timothy. Like if you're sitting in Paul's position, so if you're listening, you're not super biblical. Paul wrote the bulk of the New Testament, but he had Timothy, who he discipled, apprenticed, developed as a church leader. Timothy is like a underrated major church leader in the first church. And Paul's got this guy Barnabas, who's like we're going to bring him along. You're going to be patient with him. I know. And like you just have to have both. Somebody who's bringing you along, somebody you're bringing along, and you just won't stop growing if that's your, pattern. So wherever you're at in life, just jump into that.
Absolutely. I think that's wonderful. And I think, going through high school, being a part of like there was the Image youth group.
Yeah.
And we were fairly big, about 60 or 70, which was nice. And we did like Super Bowl Sundays. We did like all-nighters and all that stuff. And it was cool to have that. But of course, then you get met with like, what's the next step? My family, none of them went to college at the time. The only one in my like distant family was my uncle, who like, it's like literally no college. And then he became a neurosurgeon.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it's like,
that's not normal college.
No, that's like, 12, 14 years of crazy. And he's really good, but like college seems to be the right step for me. And how are we going to do this? And of course my parents were like, we're going to have to figure it out and apply. And, there's no, like back then it was like all paper stuff, computers.
Yeah. What's a FAFSA?
Like, yeah. And it was every little bit of that. Like, how do we apply? Like, what's the deadlines? What do we have to do? And then, you get there. I went to Bradley and Peoria, and then it was like, there is literally nobody that knows my history. What kind of person do I want to be?
Yeah. You get that
reset.
Yeah.
And I remember having that thought, like, what, like, do I want to be like deep into church and do those churchy things? And those were available. Do I want to go into a fraternity house? Do I want to do all this other stuff? There's college life. And I think throughout that first month, I ended up finding a couple friends, and then it was like, we'll switch and go to his other friend group. And luckily I fell into some great guy friends that we still, have a text chat that goes back and forth. But probably about halfway through my first year was just like, like this whole like God thing really matters to me. And really was like, now I'm going to take ownership. Like, this was mine in the beginning. It wasn't like my parents told me this or that, but even like pastors, like, do I really believe what they told me? Like, it's okay to come at it and question stuff, because if I believe that I can knock down the God that I made by questions, then like, what does that mean?
What that God doesn't hold water.
Exactly. So going at it, going like, I can be comfortable with that mindset. And I ended up, joining a couple different Bible studies, and then entering in sophomore year, or maybe even second semester freshman year, I ended up joining this Bible study, and we like hit it off from day one. And one of the guys, Eric, he ended up being like my best man at my wedding. We still chat. He lives in California now, but it was those small steps, and it's the leading of like, okay, small choices going in the direction, but being okay with, challenging what I currently believe, knowing that like some of them are kind of dumb. Like, they don't hold water. They don't measure up, or they're limiting. And to know that God's bigger than that. And that like really set the next several years up to go in the right, like, okay, this is what I should be doing. In my junior year, I met my wife, and
you're like testing God, and he's like checking out every time.
Absolutely. I think it wasn't like a,
and not like an angsty
you.
testing.
No, it was like, this is what I've been told. Does that really, like, does that matter? Like, do I have to put any energy in like, I should only be listening to Christian music?
Oh, gotcha.
Like, is that really a thing?
So what is like, what is Christian culture?
Yeah.
That's like put on you, and what is the God of the Bible, and where do those two intersect? And what do I actually do with this?
Yeah. Like, why?
Like critical thinking.
Yeah. Why does this come up? And
right.
Like, or is this a argument that I have to have with somebody? Like, are you
I did a lot of that.
Like, you do this, you're not a Christian.
Yeah.
You're not Christian enough. And it was like, well, I had those conversations with like my sister, and I'm like, that was dumb. Like, I shouldn't have done that.
Sure.
And it was just this like back and forth of it should be completely black and white. This is what we believe. And I'm like, well, yeah, some things. But like once we start adding, like, doesn't that get in the way?
Yeah, it's we used the language of like open hand, closed hand. Like here's the uncompromising things, but here's the things that we're trying to interpret and understand. And so like we can't compromise on who Jesus is, what he did for us, went to the cross, fully God, fully man, died and resurrected. You can't have an unresurrected Jesus and be a Jesus follower. You know,
right.
You can't have but there's lots of nuance that's more denomination and less backbone belief.
Right.
And even when I look at those things that are backbone belief, those are more gifts that he's given than things I discovered.
Oh, yeah.
And instead, I think in my arrogance, I was like, I know him because I found him.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like there's a real patience on God.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
where he's like, let me tweak that.
Yeah.
You know? But I remember that in college. I remember walking into coffee shops, which I wanted a black coffee.
Yes.
And coffee shops were like, do you want this thing? And like the stuff that my girls order now, you know? And they wanted to have like what Paul called high sounding nonsense conversations. And I was real angsty in college, not with the non-believer, but with the believer that wanted to separate us off on who the smart theological pastors were.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not doing this. I want to go hang out in a 15-passenger van with like a dozen kids.
Right.
You know? And just see where it goes. And I mean, like I had to learn some things, you know. They were right. I needed to be intelligent about certain things, but man, there was like this like kindness of God to bring you along in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I think, there's, when you're in college, that's when you're going to meet the woman of your dreams.
Right.
Right. And like, for what it's worth, unfortunately or fortunately, I guess I dated a fair amount in college. And then like, it was funny, junior year, I was like, you know what, this semester, I'm not dating anybody.
And that's when you met Diana.
That is literally when I met Diana. Freshman or my first semester junior year.
Was it junior year? Yeah, junior year. So just 2 years after you, I asked I prayed in full faith if God could keep Lauren single for the next 2 years, I'd come around to dating her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was like, I need a break. Yeah. I don't want to date. I want to be like, I'm going to dive into college now, junior, senior year. And
yes.
Really not dive into the secular experience of it. Like I'm really going to get educated here, and the church was new. So we're 05 and the church was started in 04. And I'm like, I'm just going to every weekend, be single, be available. And yeah, I think I started dating Lauren 2 weeks later.
Yeah. Well, I met Diana. She was dating somebody else, thankfully. And we became good friends, and she became friends with our friend group, which was fantastic. And then, she broke up and we ended up getting together. And I remember I asked her if we, I think, we'd be good. And she said, no, I don't think so. I think we should be friends. And like 3 hours later, she had a change of heart, thankfully. And
3 hours.
Yeah. I mean, 3 hours.
Good for you.
It was rough. It was like, man, friends?
Really put my heart out there.
Man, just crushed it. She'll probably listen in and be like, what? Why are you telling people this? Anyway, but like it was, our relationship was great, and she's just such a blessing in my life. But, we both have degrees, graduate degrees, and Bradley was going to end for her in 3 months, and she was a year in school ahead of me. So I was like, what's going to happen next? So she ended up taking a year off, and we ended up, starting grad school in the same time. And I stuck at Bradley, and she went to Western. But it was a challenge. Like every time that we moved further and further apart until we got married. And it was like, man, we were like, literally she was connected via a wall to our apartment building. So it was like me and 3 other guys, her and 3 other girls, and the wall between our apartments. And then like she moved to the other side of Peoria, not very big, but like,
yeah,
it was like, okay. And then she's moving an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
I was like, dang it. Like, this is tough.
Is that Macomb?
Yeah. So she was in Macomb, which, they have, Western, and that's it.
Right. Like a steak and shake, probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, they had an Aurelio's, which was great too. But it was definitely a challenge. And grad school had its own bit of things that were like, oh, okay, I have to really know this stuff for my profession. And, then the real challenges of like actually starting a career. And
right.
We got married going into our third year. And people always say the first year of marriage is really tough. Well, like I was in my capstone course and like studying and writing papers, and Diana was doing a 1-year rotation. And it wasn't really that hard. It was just kind of like, oh, yeah. We had extended college life where like I was studying and doing notes, and she was working, but it wasn't like super intense. And then it was, okay, we graduated. Where do we go? And her parents her dad was a retired Air Force colonel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he got promoted when we first started dating and moved to Georgia. So it was like, do we move there or do we move by my family in the Mokina area, and we decided like maybe it'll be better. And thank God we did. It was one of those like, I guess we're going to move somewhere close. My first position ever was in Mokina, my hometown, and Diana's position was in Ottawa. So we actually lived in an
That's
apartment.
A hike from Mokina a little bit.
Yeah. So we moved in an apartment that was like in Crest Hill, Joliet.
Yeah.
So it was like almost halfway. And we were there for a year. And then we ended up buying a house in Minooka. But at that time, my parents had separated, not formally divorced. And then my dad passed away.
I didn't know this part.
Yeah. So he passed away in 2009. Now, I graduated in 2008. So we had the global financial meltdown and crisis on the year I graduated. So
right.
I graduated May. September, everything was going crazy. And then in 2009, he was living with my grandmother, and they were kind of like helping each other out. And he ended up getting an infected middle finger that needed to be removed because it got gangrenous. And it was one of those like, oh, this is weird. Well, during the waiting time, he ended up getting 2 other infections in the hospital, and unfortunately, like went septic and passed away within 3 months. And, we just moved into this new house. We're 2 years into our marriage.
I mean, this is 17 years ago. He's not that old of a man.
He's 53.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was like one of those. So I'm used to thinking the stuff that I'm learning about who Christ is, what's God doing in my life, and to put that up against things that don't make sense. My dad passes away super young. At the time, he only has, I think, 3 grandkids, and that are really young. And it's like, that was a questioning moment of like, how can this happen, right? How can if I have beliefs and this doesn't sit right, it's either I'm wrong or the God that I'm believing in is not correct, and I have to remove something. I have to change my view on this, not for a negative, but like it has to encompass a little bit differently on how my reality is in general, right? So like things happen that are bad, but I was in this like, well, I just graduated, I have a doctorate degree, I have a wife, that's amazing. We're gonna be starting a family, she has a great job. And then this happens, is like, how do I square this? And then we kind of get through that. And I think it's still like, I don't know, losing a parent, it happens to a lot of people. I was pretty young, but it was just like processing that with my family and trying to go through that. And it was hard. And going forward, it was like, it wasn't a massive change, but it was like, okay, like there's a slight adjustment, and in a fullness of what this reality is with our God who interacts with us in a relationship. And it made it deeper because I know that I can rely on a God that not is just like this far off thing or this like rewarding God for me doing good things. It was a comforter. It was somebody that can come next to me in knowing that my dad passed, and it sucks, but God is there right next to me. And, sometimes he shows up in a person like my wife who's, next to me, and it's lovely. And sometimes it's like I'm frustrated in the car and I want to do, and it's just this sense of like, Holy Spirit is there. Okay, this is good. This is good. And, you go from one place where you're like, I don't understand this. And it's not a cognitive, like, oh yeah.
It's not going to light bulb.
No.
You're not going to that's why Dad.
Exactly. It was like, okay, I got a little bit better picture of really my relationship with my dad was interesting, but the relationship with my father, God, definitely got deeper through that. And my family, with my 2 brothers and 2 sisters, now there's a lot more kids and a lot more grandkids.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like my brother is John the 3rd, and then he has a son, John the 4th, but goes by Jack, like my dad. And there was always like how do we honor our dad? How do we do that well? But it was moments like that really kind of started turning wheels that probably wouldn't have in my brain if stuff I didn't have to go through.
Right.
Right.
Oh, I hate that though. I mean, I hate that I don't have a single growth moment that isn't rooted in a dilemma or pain.
Yeah.
And then I look at my kids and I'm like, oh, I hope they understand this about God. And then I understand what I'm hoping takes place.
Right.
God, I hope you find yourself with nothing else.
Unfortunately, it takes that sometimes.
Right? I hope you find yourself completely dependent on an invisible God who is really present.
Yeah, I think that's the definite like parent dilemma.
Oh man,
I want my kid to be safe and nothing bad ever to happen.
We just we're actively going through it where they're dealing with a real grief, like probably their closest, most relevant grief. They've lost great grandparents.
Yeah.
And that's sad, that they lost 3 great grandparents at 90, but it's like also you couldn't write the script better. Like who gets to know their great grandparent and have a couple memories with them and laugh with them. And, but this is like they're grieving the loss of a friend. And I'm looking at my oldest 2 going, this is going to hurt for a while. And this is going to reshape the way you think. And I'm not like updating them in real time. Yeah. I'm thinking a lot of that internally going, we're going to walk through this.
Yeah.
You're going to be a little mad or you're going to be a little sad or confused and I guess that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'll fast forward a little bit. And I think one of the most challenging, so that was tough. But even more difficult, I guess, was the next thing, which, we're getting older and it's about like, oh, we're going to have kids and we have Lincoln and it's great. And everybody has a plan. Like we're going to have, 2 kids. They're going to be 2 years apart, a year and a half apart. And our kids are 5 years apart. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is really not great. But we had 3 miscarriages.
Oh.
And to have the joy of pregnancy and then to have it no longer there was super hard. And
you guys were able to have Lincoln relatively.
Yeah. I mean, simple. Like there was, I don't know, like the normal, like one step, like, okay, you're trying, all right, try this like drug, boom, you have a baby.
Yeah.
And when we were trying for number 2, it was like, again, this like magical, like weird stuff that happens that kind of is weird. But when we had I don't know if it was, I think it was after the 3rd one, we had to get like genetic testing. And there was like one part of one chromosome that was a 50% match for Diana and I, just like random people, but like the chance of a miscarriage for these people, if you're 50% match or 100% match on this, is super high. And it's especially high for some reason, given like a couple other factors, and like Diana's like T cells were super high. It was all this like weird medical things that you're like.
But this is firing off in your brain at like another level.
Yes.
Because this is like I would love to hear your correction on this. Like looking at like genetic markers and stuff like this, which again, God's design, really interesting, like how blueprinted the human design is. But it's like you can look at like a map and see that there's a light on somewhere in the map, and then they zoom a little bit closer. And like when they'll find the house with the light on.
Yeah.
They just keep zooming in. Because we had a friend whose son went through genetic testing. He's like, step one, we saw that there's a light on the globe in the United States.
Yeah.
He's like, the next test, we narrowed it down to Illinois. You know, the next test, we found what town it was in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think there's, with the genetic testing and all that stuff, it was really just like all right, we have all these potential answers, but like, we just want a kid.
We just want a baby.
Like, what do we have to do? And luckily, like through miracles of normal or of our current medical system, we ended up like having to do these like infusions, or Diana did infusions like every other week and all this other stuff. And thankfully, we have a wonderful daughter. But again, it was one of those like seeing Emery like be born was amazing, and the 3 losses that we had were probably more instrumental in changing my view on who God is than anything else.
What did it show you about God?
I think it was one of those things where it stripped away a lot of the things that I put on him, because I had to have a God that fit the picture, like that, not everything has to be perfect. Like it's going to be a hard road, but he's always going to be there. The ability to come at God and question things, and be able to walk away and be like, he's still God, and he not only is God, but he like is right here. He's not only a friend, but like he is near me. He's putting plans in place, and he can make this work for good.
Right.
And it's really hard going through that. But like seeing the good that can come out of it allows me to go, okay, if things go sideways, like I still have a good God that's on my side.
Yeah.
Like even if it was like something, like we talked about, bad happens to a kid that I don't want to happen.
Right.
I'm not losing my faith. It's one that I can continue to rely on.
Yeah.
Be like, okay, let's go back to it.
I relate to that because in Challenge, I never thought about losing faith. God wasn't like about to cease to exist.
Yeah.
And I've talked with a lot of people where that is their story, where it's like, are you there? Like I'm crying out, wondering if and I wasn't worried if he was there. I thought he had his arms crossed. I thought he was angry. I thought he was more like, what did I do for this? Like, did I not do the thing right? And there's a lot of reconciling, like the brokenness of the world, whether it's my contribution to it or like the state that it's in. I guess like the broadness of how much we need a savior. Like it's really simplified into, I was okay with him saving me from my sin. I'm okay with understanding what some of those sins are. The broadness of how messed up and broken the world is, and how, most people are just trying to make the best of it, changed like the desperate need for his way, like the desperate need for his restoration, I think is what I'd say.
Yeah.
Like I hunger for more of all things being made new.
Yeah.
Somebody just said this. Was it like a holy discontent? I'm not mad at like the circumstance I'm in. I can't wait till he changes things.
And I think that's wonderful. That's one of those things where you just go, I don't know
how
to hold this. But we have a God that's like, I do.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
Yeah.
Right. I think.
And we say, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
And he's like, none of your business.
He's like, don't worry about that part. Right. Just know I got it. And I think so often we just go like, no, I want to do it. Like, it's me. And it's so often like, man, the hardest thing is just going like, all right, like if this is you, like I'm giving it to you and we'll like, this is you. And I think I've been more comfortable doing that where it's not like, okay, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? And it's like, yes, I'm going to be an active participant in this thing that God is doing, but it's not up to me. It's this dance.
So do you ever catch yourself, those maturing things take place and then you read scripture and you go, oh, that's what it was talking about.
Oh yeah.
Like when you say that, like I'm becoming more okay with handing it over and I go, mature and complete, not lacking anything, of James, like you'll face trials of many kinds, testing your faith develops. And it's like, I've got it memorized, develops perseverance make you mature and complete, not lacking anything. So, but then you go look at your history with God, and you get a little bit of like time under your belt of like, I've walked with you for a while, not as smoothly as you would have invited me to, but I've walked with you and I'm going, that's what you were talking about. Like now I read it and I think, it's my favorite when I see my kids or when I see students or when I see now it's anybody in the church, like young adults, and they're going, oh, that's me. Like I see what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Like he's actually like an active agent.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think that's the beauty, right?
Yes.
We have an active God that's wanting such good things for us. And we live in a broken world. And, it's not that he doesn't want things to happen that are great. And sometimes bad things happen, but it's he is there. And we just like, a lot of times it's just turning and going like, oh, right. You were there all along. I've been like looking over this way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I like it took me a long time to look back and not think that he wasn't disappointed in how long it took me to look back. I really wrestled with that side of it. Not are you mad that it took me a while? Like it would take me a while to come down in my emotions.
Yeah.
Had I been rejected that long. Yeah. As long and as often as I've rejected him.
Absolutely.
But you seem your disposition's more even than mine.
Yeah, I think overall, not that yours is,
Oh no,
wild
mine's
and
an
erratic.
emotional roller coaster.
Okay. I think
it is erratic. It's like God's the best, and I'm so angry. I'm gonna.
I think a lot of it's internal, right? So if you look at like the Enneagram or whatever, and I'm a 9. It's all about external calm. Like, what can I do to make sure that you're good?
Oh, sure,
right. And for me, like to know, like personality wise, what are my bends? Like what makes sense? And the Enneagram spoke to me, but like just like anything else, like there's some pieces that are really cool. But the inner calm is really what I chase after. And even, looking at listening to podcasts or reading books or understanding things, really comes down to like, how can I get an understanding so I can know enough where I can be like, oh, this is not a big deal. Or I can offer that up to somebody and be like, oh, now they're good, so I'm good. And that's always been one of those things where, from when I was pretty young to now where I want people around to know that, okay, like I don't have to worry about it. Like Sean's got it, or like we have a better understanding of this. We don't have to worry about it. It's taken care of. That's really comforting to me. But like to know that like, I don't know. I don't get super angry, or like externally frustrated. It's usually very internal, and it's always been like that. I'll get more frustrated with myself if I'm not performing up to my standards or something. But overall, it's just one of those where I've always been like just like a even keel.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we'll figure it out.
Right.
And that's, even. More recently, I've had some changes of position, and I'm in a position now where it's like I have, there's times I don't know what to do, but it's really just like relying on other people and like, we'll get this worked out. I'll rely on some other people and we'll figure it out.
Yeah. It's something I really admire about you. I love the way that you think. I'd love to spend some time, probably another time, just because I don't want to open like a new can of worms on this, All
right.
But like the way you understand what your heart does with the Lord, like touch on like the connection you see between like the physical body and what God does, like why it's important. You said some things to me, like you read into some things in a couple sermons that I've done, and you're like, hey, you should really go do this. And I did take your advice. Like it was like you should go like exercise some like way to calm yourself and breathe through some things and really get alone and rest. Like, because God designed you for rest, for a reset. And it was instrumental. Like, take what you do for a living and give me a snapshot on like why God designed us. Like, just what turns in your brain on that?
Yeah. That's kind of funny that you mentioned. Sometimes I, unfortunately, text Nick after some sermons and be like, hey, this is what I came up with. Anyway.
It's my favorite. No, because it's always like my brain's not wired that way.
Yeah.
So whenever you bring it, I'm like, oh, I wish I could do that sermon again. I'd put some of Sean's stuff in there. I
try to keep it at the end so it doesn't have to be added. That's, always interesting. But the magic of the human body is really, really interesting. I think as we learn more, to me, it's not a like, oh, see, we've proven evolution because of whatever. It's like we've proven that the body is so complex. We continue to learn more stuff, and the more that we learn, it's kind of hilarious. Like, okay, you're getting really worked up, and that's because of all this stuff, and you have these external cues, and then maybe internally you just have this like, and we've been created to really be able to control a lot of our stuff by breathing. And it's one of those where I go, oh, okay. Like, you can really hype yourself up by doing really short breaths and quick, and you go, okay, now I'm really amped up. I'm really excited, okay? Or, oh, man, I'm really amped up. What do I have to do? Breathe in twice, and then out. I automatically feel a little bit better. Like, this breath thing simply allows us to interact with our physiology at a different level. That impacts our mood, it impacts how we think. And, I mean, it's also interesting, even with God, right? Like, the Lord's name, Yahweh.
Right. This, like, Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. Like, it's breath.
It's breath. And the best definition of prayer for me is literally returning breath back to its source. We are speaking words through our breath, and they're coming back to the one that gave us breath.
Oh, wow.
Our God, Yahweh. And that, like, it's that kind of stuff that really, when I'm listening to random podcasts about science or whatever, it's like, this just makes me fall in love with a creator that can go so deep that 2,000 years ago, people thought like it was this reason. We're looking at the stars and we're looking at, it's all great. And then we're like, we conquered that. We have telescopes so we can see everything. And then we are amazed by how far everything is. And then we go, oh, what's inside? And we have people that look at anatomy and are like, oh, this is what a knee's made of. But yeah, let's go deeper and deeper and deeper. And everything becomes even like cooler. Like, oh, that's how this works?
Like the intricacy of design.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
The intricacy of design, or even like these small molecules that allow glucose to get into a cell that if they weren't there, we're all done.
Right.
And it's like, oh, well, that can't just happen.
So I'm completely unprepared for what I'm about to ask you. Okay.
Me too.
But like when I see in Scripture, I'm big on take captive every thought, make it obedient to Christ. I'm big on whatever's lovely, whatever's wholesome, whatever's noble, whatever's admirable, praiseworthy. I'm leaving a couple of them out. Think about such things. Like that I actually discipline my thought to be fixed on, like if emotion drives or if there's an emotion indicator on my check engine light, and it's like, hey, you're getting there's something you need to pay attention to here. Like, I can settle in God's faithfulness. I can settle in God's history with me. I can settle in God's predictability of his steadfastness, like that he's not going to have an emotional day tomorrow and all of a sudden say you're not good enough.
Yeah.
So I can settle on this, but that like your brain actually, like the neuroplasticity of your brain like will rewire.
Mm-hmm.
Like that you actually start to like create some new health patterns in your brain that ease the process of doing that again in the future.
Right.
And so to exercise that and go, this is relatively new science. I don't know if that's even the right phrase to say. There's people making this case for the first time where the brain isn't permanently unwired or broken. Like we can actually like reclaim some territory in a healthy way. And like it's like in scripture 2,000 years ago, in a culture that was illiterate in some cases, and and like God's words like still holding water.
Right. I think that's like the amazing thing, right? We have, whether it's the Sermon on the Mount and the truth of the Bible.
Yeah.
And you look at the current science of consciousness, which we don't understand, which is really funny because we figured out the brain except for consciousness, which is a bigger bit like 100%. That like there's so much truth. There's so much that we still hold on to. And that's why we always reflect on it. Like, it's not been said in a more clear way. We just want to make it outside of the Bible.
What was the language that they used? I heard somebody say a secular college was still doing studies on the Sermon on the Mount as the most, I don't want to say moral, but the most, one of the most advanced talks on morality, and not like that was what Jesus was coming to establish, was like a new morality. Like, but like that from a human perspective, nobody in the world was talking about it the way that Jesus did. Like the one who designed it to be.
Right.
And like they're missing like the beauty of like a savior in the midst of it. In a lot of this case where I'm going, oh, you're missing like the best part. Like I'm watching some of these guys that are wrestling with this that we talked about off of this. Like where you're watching like if anybody pays attention like a Joe Rogan, or you pay attention to I don't know. I'm nervous now to mention names. Like I don't follow these guys closely, but like there's a guy from the military that I see clips from. I see clips from Joe Rogan, or I see clips from even like comedians that are going, I don't know, I'm not as full as I thought I would be at this point in my career. Or I just saw a clip from Aaron Rodgers who said in 2011, night of the Super Bowl, 2 a.m., he said, is that it? Like I thought that was going to pan out. And it made me like reevaluate past and future and being present. And I'm going, you guys are so close.
Yeah.
Like you are knocking on the door of something so close that if you find a savior, like a creator savior in the midst of that, it's going to blow your mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think they're one step away.
They're just, you're like one step away. You've almost like discovered the unfixable problem.
Yeah. It's crazy, but that's like a lot, like I achieved everything I ever wanted. I'm a millionaire. And it's like, I'm still unhappy.
Yeah. That's like the easiest like bridge that you create with people,
Yeah.
And I always joke about it when it comes to money. It's like money, like they say, everybody thinks they'd be happier if they had 10% more. Like then there's some weird stat. Have you heard me say this?
Something like that.
I stole it from Nate. Everybody, like the statistics are, you believe you'll finally be happy if you had 10% more. And that statistic doesn't change until you hit X amount of dollars. And then it shifts the percentage. Like
to be way more.
To something ridiculous. Like it proves it. And you tell people factually, like this is the most researched thing. You can't buy happiness. Like, do you want more money? And everyone's like, yes. Like myself included. Do you want, but do you want more? Absolutely. Where do I sign?
Well, they didn't ask me. I
right.
Tried it.
Right. I'll prove I will not be the lotto winner who loses everything.
Yeah, of course.
But it, like you look at like the stuff It all comes full circle. This is why I like talking to you, because to have a God that met somebody the way that you're wired, where you're at, in the same timeline that he's meeting somebody wired the way I am, to have a God who's meeting somebody around the world in a different language and a different culture, right where they're at, and engaging. And you're not talking about this as like God of the ethos way out there, and I caught what he was doing with us in a group. Like, you're talking the God who talks to Sean.
Yeah.
And I think we even miss sometimes, like we had the most people we've ever had in this room last night, far and away. And I was going, I wonder if they know that I'm talking about a God that's talking to them. And I had names in my mind, and I don't have the time to preach like what I'd like to preach to him.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I can see where he was sitting, you know, like, do you know I'm talking about you? Right. Like, not me even, like, I'm just like explaining what he was doing, talking about you. Right. And it's just so nuanced. And so, I think I turned off my brain to the complexity of God because I was afraid of it. Like, I liked the simple, and now something like reignited in my 30s where I'm like, ooh, the complexity, I don't have to be afraid of. He still holds water.
Absolutely. I think that's the gift, is we don't have to be afraid. In fact, like I said, like, I encourage my son. Like, so many people walk away because they have questions. It's like, that's what we're supposed to do. We should have comfort in knowing that, like, he has answers.
Yes.
It's not like I'm going to trick him. Because really, like, what kind of God is that?
Right.
It's one I made up.
Yeah.
And that's not him. He wants to be near us. And we're so often like, no, stay over there. So I can start saying, it's because of a God like that. And it's like, well, it's not the God I believe in. I believe in a personal God that saved me and has guided me, directed things, allowed me to change my views on what he is and what he's done for me. And it's been a great experience. And it's not because of like everything went well. It's because they didn't go well, because I had to grow, because of those challenges. And yes, I've been blessed. Like, if any measure, like, happily married 42-year-old that has 2 kids and a great job, like, I live in America, like, all of these things are such big blessings that, like, I shouldn't complain, and we all do. And it's one of those that are like, and it took a lot of just guidance from our gentle Savior, and to be able to interact in a way that was honest and not be like, I can't talk like this to God, or I can't have these conversations with my wife, or I can't do that. But to be encouraged that regardless of whatever it looks like, he can handle it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Well, no, I'm going to end there because I'm going to open up a whole nother can of worms. I was going to say, what do you see him leading you in next? Just give me the snapshot as we wind down.
That's tough.
And I'm not asking you to predict what God's doing in the future, but what's he pull on you? Where's he,
I think we talked about this briefly a little bit ago, and I'll try to end it without being too odd or anything. But I feel like God has really put it on me to know like who I am and who I am in Him, meaning like His identity for me and what my like how I'm going to be used by Him. And for, years, I'll say a number, 30 years or so, there's always been like this, like, when am I most satisfied or like closest to God as well? And I think it's when I'm able to offer comfort and build people up. And when those two come together, like in physical therapy, like offering comfort, removing people's pain makes sense. When I'm in a non-clinical but leadership position, like, how can I make the lives of the people that I'm over easier? How can I lead them in a way that does allow them to grow, to come alongside of them and be like, all right, this is where we're at and this is where we want to be and this is how we're going to get there. And I think that's like the next steps from like really like professional as well as with my kids and my wife. Like, how can I be used well? And like in my 40s, it's a new thing for me. Instead of like, what do I need to know? What do I need? Like, okay, like I'm still gonna know things, but how do I use that in a way that's super honoring to God by impacting other people's lives?
Oh, I love that. Would you do me a favor and close us out in prayer?
Sure.
All right.
Lord, I thank you for just who you are, for giving us your Son to die for us, Lord, to conquer death so we can be close to you. No matter what we have going on, Lord, that you are big enough and strong enough to be around us and comfort us, Lord, to just allow for that relationship to grow, to go deeper and deeper, and for us to be okay with those questions, because you designed us in a way that allows us to really go after what it means to be fully human, to be spiritually guided by you, and to do your great work. Lord, I thank you for the work that you've done in me. I can't wait to see what happens next. Lord, as we go forward, that this message can just be sent to the people that need it, that they can know that you're there for them, that you are for them, that they are loved, and Lord, that they are lovely. Just praise things in your Son's name.
Amen. Thanks, Sean. If you're looking for a good church home, you want to serve in the tech department, you could find Sean in the back of our Minooka worship room, once a month, twice a month?
No, twice a month. Yep.
Somewhere in there. And absolutely a treasure to have as a friend and on our team. And if you're looking for a great church home where you can connect, find us at thevillagechristianchurch.com. Check us out. Minooka, Shorewood, Coal City, Seneca. And we'd love to have you at one of our physical campuses or join us online. We're so glad that you could have joined us on another great story.
Thank you so much for joining us for another great story. Make sure to click that subscribe button so you never miss our latest stories. And if you are in the market for a great church home, check us out at thevillagechristianchurch.com. We've got more great stories ahead, and we can't wait for you to hear them all. So until next time, keep living another great story.